The blue-white marble of Earth hung suspended in the void, peaceful from a distance. Alan Mercer gazed at the view from his office window in the orbital diplomatic station. In 48 hours, he would leave his home planet behind to become humanity's first representative to the Galactic Council. "You're staring at Earth again," said a warm voice behind him. Alan turned to see his wife, Olivia, her dark hair tied back, carrying 2 cups of coffee. The scent of it filled the small room. "Can you blame me?" he asked, accepting one of the cups. "Next time I see it, I'll be looking at it from Saturn's orbit." Olivia set her cup down and wrapped her arms around his waist. "You'll do fine. The Council chose you for a reason." Alan nodded, but doubt still gnawed at him. 6 months ago, the massive alien ship had appeared just beyond lunar orbit. Panic had quickly given way to wonder when the aliens, who called themselves the Ardani, revealed they were merely messengers from the Galactic Council, a union of 27 spacefaring species. The Council had been watching Earth for decades, and now extended an invitation to join their interstellar community. "Dad!" A cheerful voice broke his thoughts. 12-year-old Emma bounded into the room, her school tablet in hand. "I got an A on my essay about the Council. Ms. Rivera said it was the best in class." Alan smiled, ruffling his daughter's hair. "That's my girl. You'll probably know more about alien politics than I do by the time I get back." "I doubt that," Emma said, grinning. "But can you bring me something alien, like a cool rock or whatever they have instead of teddy bears?" "I'll try," Alan promised, though his clearance briefings had been very specific about not accepting or bringing back any alien artifacts without proper screening. The door chimed, and Alan's heart skipped a beat. "That's Admiral Donovan," he said, straightening his tie. She wanted one more briefing before tomorrow's meeting with the Ardani representative. Admiral Kate Donovan was an imposing figure despite her average height. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was impeccable. The lines around her eyes spoke of years of command decisions and sleepless nights. "Mr. Mercer," she said, nodding at Alan and his family. "Mrs. Mercer, Emma, I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all, Admiral," Alan said. "Emma was just telling me about her essay on the Council." "Smart kid," Donovan said with a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. "May I speak with you privately, Mr. Mercer?" Once they were alone in his small office, Donovan's posture stiffened even more. "I'll be direct, Mr. Mercer. I still think this is a mistake. One representative alone, with no military escort? It's unprecedented." Alan sighed. They'd had this conversation before. "The Council was clear, Admiral. One representative, no weapons, no military presence. Those are their terms for first contact. And that doesn't strike you as suspicious?" Donovan leaned forward. "We know almost nothing about them or their real intentions. The President is being naive." "President Franklin has made her decision," Alan said firmly. "And I agree with her. If we want to join an interstellar community, we need to show trust." Donovan looked like she wanted to say more, but instead handed him a small case. "This contains updated cultural briefings on what little we know about the Council species. Study it carefully." "Thank you, Admiral. I will." As Donovan turned to leave, she paused. "One more thing, Mercer. If anything feels wrong, anything at all, use the emergency beacon. It's disguised as your wedding ring. One full twist and we'll know you're in trouble." Alan nodded, unconsciously touching the simple gold band. "I still have my doubts," Donovan said quietly. "But you're the best choice for this job. Good luck." The next morning, Alan stood with his family in the station's observation deck, watching as the Ardani shuttle docked. President Franklin had wanted to be present, but security concerns kept her on Earth. Instead, she'd spoken with Alan via secure video link, emphasizing the historic nature of his mission. "Remember," she had said, "you represent not just America or even Earth, but all of humanity. Our future among the stars depends on these first steps." The airlock cycled open, and High Counselor Zethvar of the Ardani stepped through. Alan had seen images before, but nothing prepared him for the alien's actual presence. Zethvar stood nearly 7 feet tall, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly under the lights. 4 arms emerged from a torso covered in what appeared to be ceremonial armor, and the alien's face featured 6 small eyes arranged in a circle around a central mouth. Greetings, Alan Mercer of Earth. The translator device at Zethvar's throat produced surprisingly natural-sounding English. I am honored to escort you to the council station. Alan stepped forward, remembering his protocol training. He placed his right hand over his heart and bowed slightly, the Ardani greeting for respected equals. The honor is mine, High Counselor. I'm ready to represent Earth before the council. Zethvar's mouthparts shifted in what Alan hoped was approval. You have been well trained. This is good. The journey to the council station will take 3 Earth days. You may bring personal items, but they will be screened. I understand, Alan said. When do we depart? In 1 hour. I will wait in my shuttle while you say your goodbyes. With a fluid motion, Zethvar turned and re-entered the airlock. As soon as it closed, Emma rushed to her father. Dad, did you see all those eyes? And 4 arms. How cool is that? Alan smiled, kneeling to hug his daughter. Very cool. And this is just one species. There are 26 others in the council. Promise to remember everything so you can tell me all about it, Emma said, suddenly serious. I promise, Alan said, throat tight. I'll be back before you know it. His goodbye with Olivia was harder. She held him tightly, her body tense. I'm proud of you, she whispered. But I'm scared too. We know so little about them. It'll be fine, Alan assured her. Humanity has dreamed of this moment for centuries. And think of what this means for Emma's future, a galaxy of possibilities. An hour later, Alan watched Earth recede through the shuttle's viewport. Beside him, Zethvar was joined by representatives from 2 other council species, a reptilian Vorax and a crystalline Xylan. Both nodded politely to Alan, but said little during the journey. On the second day, Alan noticed something strange. The 3 aliens often spoke among themselves in their own languages, their translator devices turned off. Each time Alan approached, they would stop abruptly. Once, he caught a word before the Vorax noticed him. Something that sounded like specimen. That night, unable to sleep in the strange gravity of the shuttle, Alan recorded a message in his personal log. Something feels off about this mission. Maybe Admiral Donovan's concerns were justified. The council representatives are cordial but distant. They speak freely until they notice me, then fall silent. I've caught them watching me when they think I'm not looking. I hope I'm just being paranoid, but I keep thinking about Emma and Olivia. If anything happens to me... He paused, then continued. But this is bigger than me. This is humanity's first step into a larger universe. I need to see it through. As the shuttle approached Saturn's magnificent rings, the massive council station came into view. It was an enormous structure, easily 10 times the size of Earth's largest space station, with sections that clearly accommodated different environments and gravity needs. Behold, Zethvar said, all 6 eyes fixed on Alan's face as if gauging his reaction. The Grand Council Station, where the fate of civilizations is decided. Something in the alien's tone sent a chill down Alan's spine. But as Earth's representative, he straightened his shoulders and prepared to make first contact with humanity's new galactic neighbors, unaware that his execution was already being planned in the council's private chambers. Alan stood at the entrance of the council chambers, trying to control his racing heart. The massive doors were carved with symbols from dozens of alien civilizations. 2 guards flanked him, tall, muscular beings with scaled skin that reminded him of Earth's Komodo dragons. They called themselves the Vorax, and they served as the council's security force. Wait here, one of the guards said in a harsh voice. The council will summon you when ready. Alan checked his appearance one last time. His blue diplomatic uniform was spotless, chosen specifically to represent Earth's oceans and skies. He carried a small case containing Earth's formal request to join the galactic community, signed by every nation on the planet. After 15 minutes of waiting, the enormous doors slid open silently. Inside was a circular chamber larger than any stadium Alan had ever seen. Raised platforms held representatives from each of the 27 council species, arranged in a complete circle. In the center was a small platform where Alan knew he would stand. "Human diplomat Alan Mercer," announced a booming voice. "Approach the center and present your case." Alan walked forward, aware that thousands of alien eyes followed his every move. The center platform rose slightly as he stepped onto it, bringing him to eye level with the council members. Bright lights shone down, making it difficult to see the faces of those judging him. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Alan began, his voice steady despite his nerves. "I bring greetings from Earth. We are honored by your invitation and hope to join your community of worlds." He opened his case and removed a small crystal sphere. Earth's data storage technology was primitive compared to the Council's, but they had put their best efforts into this presentation. "This contains our formal application, information about Earth's cultures, our scientific knowledge, and our hopes for cooperation. We come in peace, eager to learn from your wisdom and share our unique perspective." A tall, willowy alien with translucent skin stepped forward from one of the platforms. "I am High Elder Kayla of the Tellurians," she said. "Tell us, human, why should we welcome your kind into our ancient alliance? Your species is very young." Alan had prepared for this question. "It is precisely our youth that makes us valuable, High Elder. We bring fresh ideas, different approaches to problems. Earth has thousands of distinct cultures that have found ways to coexist. Our diversity is our strength." This led to murmurs throughout the chamber. Some sounded interested, others clearly disapproving. A bulky, four-armed being leaned forward from another platform. "I am War Commander Gruel of the Paladins. Our observers report that humans fought 3 global wars in just 1 century. Your diversity seems to breed conflict, not harmony." Alan felt sweat forming on his brow. "We have learned from our mistakes, War Commander. Each conflict taught us valuable lessons about cooperation. We haven't had a global war in over 70 years. A mere blink in cosmic time," growled Gruel. For 2 hours the questioning continued. Some council members seemed genuinely curious, while others were openly hostile. Alan answered as best he could, drawing on all his diplomatic training. Finally, Zethvar stepped forward. "We must deliberate privately on Earth's application," the Ardani announced. "Human Mercer will be escorted to the waiting chambers." Before Alan could respond, the platform beneath him lowered, and the 2 Vorax guards appeared at his side. "This way," one said, gripping Alan's arm with surprising strength. They led him not to the diplomatic quarters where he had expected to stay, but to a small plain room with nothing but a bench. "Wait here," the guard said, and the door slid shut with a definitive click. Alan checked his communicator to contact Earth, but found no signal. That was strange. He had been assured he would have constant communication. He twisted his wedding ring, remembering Admiral Donovan's warning about the emergency beacon. Not yet, he thought. This could just be standard procedure. After what felt like hours, the door opened. A slender being with 6 limbs and eyes that glowed faintly green entered. "I am Malekith, Special Investigator for the Council," the alien said. "I have some questions before the final vote." Alan straightened. "Of course, I'm happy to provide any information." Malekith tilted her head. "Is it true that humans are currently developing faster than light travel?" Alan hesitated. Earth's scientists had theoretical models, but nothing concrete. "We have early research, yes, nothing functional." "And your military capabilities?" "Your species seems unusually focused on weapons development." "For defense only," Alan said carefully. "Earth has many nations with different priorities." The questions grew increasingly pointed, focusing on Earth's military history, resource consumption, and population growth. Alan began to feel less like a diplomat and more like a suspect. When Malekith finally left, Alan tried his communicator again. Still nothing. Now genuinely concerned, he twisted his wedding ring completely around. The tiny beacon inside would send a signal to Earth that something was wrong. Back on Earth, in the United Defense Force headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, Security Chief Rick Porter jolted upright in his chair. A red alert flashed on his screen. "Admiral," he called out, "we've lost communication with Mercer, and his emergency beacon just activated." Admiral Donovan rushed over, her face grim. "How long since our last contact?" 8 hours, ma'am." The signal cut out during his presentation to the council. Donovan's jaw tightened. "Alert the President and power up the Hidden Fleet. I want all systems ready." "The Hidden Fleet, ma'am? But that's only for existential threats." "Yes, I know." Donovan's eyes were cold. "Let's hope I'm wrong. But if these aliens harm our envoy, they're about to learn why they should have been more afraid of us." Meanwhile, on the council station, Alan was brought back to the council chambers. This time, the atmosphere was completely different. The lights were harsh, and the council members' faces showed none of the curiosity from before. Zethvar stood at the center. "Human Alan Mercer, the council has reviewed your application and additional evidence gathered by our investigators." Alan stepped forward. "What additional evidence? I haven't been allowed to communicate with Earth for hours." "Silence," hissed a reptilian council member. "You will speak when permitted." Zethvar continued as if Alan hadn't spoken. "The evidence shows that humanity is developing at an alarming rate. Your technology advances far faster than any species we have encountered. Your wars show a disturbing talent for violence." "That's not fair," Alan protested. "Every species has conflicts in their history. We've grown beyond." "Furthermore," Zethvar cut him off, "your resource consumption patterns suggest you would quickly expand beyond your solar system, competing with established council members for vital materials." Alan realized with growing horror what was happening. This wasn't an application review. It was a trial. High Elder Kala of the Tellurians stood up. "I must object. The humans deserve time to prove themselves. They show remarkable adaptability and creativity." "Exactly the problem," said War Commander Gruel. "Their unpredictability makes them dangerous. Better to contain the threat now." "Contain?" Alan asked, a chill running down his spine. "What exactly does that mean?" Zethvar's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "The Council has voted, 22-5. Earth is deemed a potential threat to galactic stability. As is standard procedure for such cases, the representative of the dangerous species will be executed as a warning, and their homeworld will be contained." Alan felt the blood drain from his face. "Executed? You can't be serious. I came here in peace." "The decision is final," Zethvar said coldly. "Your execution will be broadcast to Earth as a demonstration of the consequences of rapid, unchecked advancement." 2 Vorax guards grabbed Alan's arms. As they dragged him toward a raised platform, he struggled and shouted, "You're making a terrible mistake. Earth won't surrender. They'll fight back." Malekith stepped forward with a small device. "No species has ever successfully resisted the Council once containment is ordered." As Alan was secured to the platform, he thought of Olivia and Emma, of Admiral Donovan's warnings of Earth's blue skies he would never see again. With his final moment of freedom, he looked directly at the camera he knew would broadcast to his home planet. "Earth, don't submit. They fear us because—" A brilliant flash of light cut off his words. Alan Mercer, humanity's first envoy to the stars, was gone. On Earth, President Patricia Franklin watched the broadcast in horror, surrounded by military advisors in the Emergency Command Center. Her hand trembled as she set down her coffee cup. "They executed him," she whispered, then her voice hardened. "They executed our envoy without provocation." Admiral Donovan stepped forward. "Madam President, we need to activate Protocol Omega immediately. The Council clearly has hostile intentions toward Earth." The President's eyes, normally compassionate and measured, had turned to steel. "Do it, and get me every world leader on the line. As of this moment, Earth is at war." The Emergency Command Center beneath the White House was silent except for the soft hum of computers. President Patricia Franklin sat at the head of the table, her face pale but determined. The screens around her showed the leaders of every major nation on Earth, all equally shocked by what they had just witnessed. "They killed him," said the Russian president, breaking the silence. They executed Alan Mercer without trial, without reason. Not without reason, Admiral Kate Donovan said, stepping forward. They fear us. You heard what Mercer tried to say before they cut him off. President Franklin stood slowly. In her 20 years of politics, she had been known as a peacemaker, a diplomat, but the woman who spoke now had steel in her voice. Ladies and gentlemen, I never thought I would say these words, but as of this moment, Earth is at war with the Galactic Council. I am activating Protocol Omega, effective immediately. Protocol Omega. The words sent a chill through the room. It was a contingency plan created after first contact, designed only for the worst-case scenario, hostile alien intent toward Earth. Admiral Donovan, President Franklin continued, you have full authority to deploy all assets, including the Shadow Fleet. On screens around the world, the other leaders nodded their agreement. For the first time in human history, every nation stood united against a common enemy. As the meeting ended, Security Chief Rick Porter approached the Admiral. Ma'am, there's something you need to see. We've been analyzing past accidents in our space program. Look at these patterns. He displayed a series of incidents from the past decade, unexplained satellite failures, space station malfunctions, even the mysterious explosion of Earth's first Mars colony ship 3 years earlier. These weren't accidents, Porter said grimly. The energy signatures match what we now know are Ardani weapons. They've been sabotaging us for years. Admiral Donovan clenched her fists. They've been keeping us contained while they decided our fate. She turned to a communications officer. Get me Dr. Vega. Tell her to activate Project Prometheus. On the Council station orbiting Saturn, High Elder Kayla of the Tellurians approached Zethvar. Around them, Council members celebrated their decisive action against the human threat. This was a mistake, Kayla said quietly. The humans deserved a chance. Zethvar's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Your species always had a soft spot for primitive races. The decision was necessary. Humans advance too quickly, adapt too readily. In a century, they might have challenged the Council's authority. And now? Now we will send a fleet to establish orbital control of Earth. Their military capabilities are primitive. Our analysis suggests they will surrender within days when faced with our technology. Kayla's translucent skin pulsed with colors of doubt. You did not see what I saw in the human's eyes before he died. That was not fear. That was defiance. Defiance without power is meaningless. Zethvar replied dismissively. The matter is settled. In a hidden facility deep beneath the Arizona desert, Dr. Samantha Vega watched as her team prepared their most advanced weapons. For 15 years, they had been reverse engineering technology from crashed alien scout ships, crashes that now appeared to be failed Council sabotage attempts. All units reporting ready, Doctor, her assistant said. Dr. Vega nodded. Begin deployment of Prometheus Units 1 through 50. Across the massive underground hangar, sleek metallic objects the size of buses began to power up. They were not conventional weapons but self-replicating combat drones, designed to analyze and adapt to enemy technology. Each contained a quantum computer capable of making thousands of battlefield decisions per second. Send the activation code, Dr. Vega ordered. Authorization, Mercer's Revenge. In orbit above Earth, the first signs of humanity's response began to appear. Hidden doors on what seemed to be ordinary satellites opened, revealing advanced weapons, systems. What the Council believed was a primitive early warning system was actually a fully operational defense grid. Admiral Donovan stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, Earth's first true warship. It had been built in secret piece by piece in an underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. Now it rose from the depths, water cascading from its massive hull. All systems online, reported Captain Daniel Hayes. Weapons hot, stealth systems engaged. Similar scenes played out across Earth as hidden facilities activated. The Council had badly underestimated humanity's preparedness for this moment. In her quarters aboard the Retribution, Admiral Donovan recorded a message to be broadcast on all frequencies the Council used. To the Galactic Council, You have committed an act of war against Earth by executing our envoy, Alan Mercer. You believed us weak. You believed us unprepared. You were wrong. We have monitored your activities in our system for decades. We have prepared accordingly. Earth does not surrender. Earth does not forgive. You should have killed us all when you had the chance. On the council station, alarms began to sound. A junior officer rushed to Zethvar, mandibles clicking in distress. High Counselor, human ships are appearing throughout their system. They were hidden. We didn't detect them. Impossible, Zethvar snarled. Their technology is at least a century behind ours. The main screen activated, showing a massive human vessel appearing seemingly from nowhere near one of the Council's monitoring stations near Jupiter. Magnify, Zethvar ordered. The image zoomed in on the side of the human ship. Written there, in large letters, were 2 words. Remember Mercer. Sound general alarm, Zethvar commanded. Order all Council ships to attack Earth immediately. But it was already too late. The first of Dr. Vega's Prometheus drones had reached Jupiter, where they targeted the Council's main fuel depot. The explosion was visible even from Earth, a new bright spot in the night sky. In her home in Virginia, Olivia Mercer sat with her daughter Emma watching the news. The world governments had been surprisingly open about what had happened and what was coming next. Mom, Emma said quietly, Dad knew this might happen, didn't he? Olivia wiped tears from her eyes. He worried about it. Admiral Donovan warned him. But he believed first contact was worth the risk. Emma's young face hardened in a way no child's should. They'll pay for what they did to him. Yes, Olivia said softly. They will. Her phone rang, a secure line. It was President Franklin herself. Mrs. Mercer, the president said. I know this is a terrible time, but we need you. Your work in xenolinguistics might help us communicate with potential allies among the Council species. Not all of them voted for war. Olivia looked at the photo of Alan on the wall, his kind eyes and hopeful smile. I'll do whatever it takes, Madam President. For Alan. For Earth. Lieutenant Commander Grace Phillips led her Special Forces team through the darkened corridors of the captured Council intelligence vessel. The ship had been patrolling the edge of the solar system when the Retribution ambushed it. Control, this is Phantom Leader, she whispered into her comm. We've secured the main computer core, beginning data extraction. Within hours, humanity would have access to the Council's secure network, their military plans, their star charts. The intelligence would be invaluable for what was coming next. As her team worked, Phillips looked out a viewport at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there were thousands of worlds, most never visited by humans. Now, instead of peaceful exploration, humanity's first major venture into the galaxy would be one of war. For Alan Mercer, she murmured, touching the patch on her uniform, that all Earth forces now wore, a simple blue circle representing Earth with Mercer's name beneath it. The Council had made a fatal miscalculation. They had judged humanity by their relatively primitive technology, not by their spirit or their capacity for unified action when threatened. They had executed one human as a warning. In response, Earth was coming for them all. 1 week after Alan Mercer's execution, the war spread across the solar system like wildfire. Earth's hidden fleet struck with shocking speed and precision, targeting Council outposts on Mars, the moons of Jupiter, and throughout the asteroid belt. Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as 3 Council warships burned against the backdrop of Saturn's rings. His ship had already destroyed 7 enemy vessels without taking significant damage. Status report, he ordered, his voice calm despite the chaos displayed on the view screen. All weapon systems green, Captain, reported his weapons officer. Prometheus drones have successfully integrated with the enemy's communication network. They can't coordinate their attacks anymore. Hayes nodded. Dr. Vega's drones were proving even more effective than expected. The self-replicating machines could hack into Council systems, replicate themselves using enemy resources, and adapt to counter any defensive measures. Set course for the main Council station, Hayes ordered. Admiral Donovan wants us to secure it intact if possible. As the retribution moved through the debris of battle, Hayes reflected on how quickly everything had changed. Just 2 weeks ago, humanity had been excited about joining a galactic community. Now they were fighting for their survival and winning. The Council had severely underestimated Earth in 3 critical ways. First, they hadn't realized that humans had been quietly preparing for possible hostile contact for decades. Second, they hadn't understood how quickly humans could unite when faced with an external threat. And third, they had failed to recognize humanity's greatest strength: adaptability. "Captain," called his communications officer. "Incoming transmission." From Lieutenant Commander Phillips on the captured intelligence vessel. Phillips's face appeared on screen, her expression triumphant despite a nasty cut above her left eye. "Captain Hayes, we've broken into their secure network. You won't believe what we've found." She paused, her expression darkening. "The Council has been doing this for thousands of years, finding emerging species and eliminating those they consider threats to stability. We weren't the first, and we wouldn't have been the last." Hayes felt his blood run cold. "Send all data to Admiral Donovan immediately. This changes everything." On the Council station, panic had replaced the earlier confidence. Alarms blared constantly as reports of Earth victories flooded in from across the system. "How is this possible?" demanded War Commander Gruel, slamming his 4 fists on the conference table. "They were supposed to be primitive, barely space-capable." Zethvar's normally blue skin had paled to a sickly gray. "They deceived us. They must have been preparing for war all along." "No," said High Elder Kayla, her translucent form glowing with anger. "You deceived yourselves. You saw what you expected to see, a young species you could dominate. I warned the Council to be careful." The station shook as another explosion rocked the outer defenses. "Our main fleet is still 3 days away," a junior officer reported nervously. "And we've lost contact with outposts throughout the system." Zethvar turned to the communications array. "Send emergency messages to all Council worlds. We need reinforcements immediately." But when he activated the system, an unfamiliar face appeared on all screens. It was Dr. Samantha Vega, her eyes hard as she spoke. "Your communications network now belongs to Earth. Your reinforcements aren't coming. We've used your own technology against you, the same technology you used to sabotage our development for years." The transmission cut off, leaving the Council leaders staring at each other in growing horror. "We should negotiate," Kayla urged. "Offer reparations for the human envoy." "It's too late for that," Gruel growled. "Look," the main view screen showed a terrifying sight. Dozens of human ships emerging from faster-than-light travel near Neptune. The Council had believed humans were decades away from such technology. How did they develop FTL so quickly? Zethvar whispered. Kayla's colors pulsed with grim satisfaction. "They didn't. They reverse-engineered it from the ships you sent to spy on them. The ships you thought had simply crashed or disappeared." In a secret facility orbiting Earth's moon, Major Heather Ross met with representatives from 4 Council species who had opposed the decision to execute Alan Mercer. The Tellurians, led by Kayla's daughter Mira, had been the first to defect. "The Council has dominated the galaxy for too long," Mira said, her translucent skin rippling with emotion. "Many species joined only under threat of destruction. Your resistance has given them hope." Ross nodded. "We don't want to destroy all Council species. Our quarrel is with the leadership that ordered our envoy's execution and planned our containment." "The Council controls hundreds of worlds," said Traz, a representative of the insectoid Shin. "But with your help, we could free those who wish independence." "And with your help," Ross replied, "we could end this war faster with less bloodshed." As they discussed strategy, data from the captured intelligence ship arrived. Ross reviewed it with growing anger. The Council had systematically eliminated 12 emerging civilizations in the past millennium alone, all under the guise of maintaining stability. "We need to broadcast this to all Council world," she decided. "Let everyone see what their leaders have done." Dr. Vega's lab was busier than ever. Based on captured Council technology, Her team had developed weapons that could target specific genetic signatures, allowing them to neutralize enemy forces without harming potential allies. Phase 2 of Project Prometheus is ready, she told Admiral Donovan over a secure channel. The adaptive drones can now not only disable Council systems, but reprogram them to serve our purposes. Donovan's face on the screen was grim, but satisfied. Good. Deploy them immediately. Focus on their command and control systems. As the call ended, Vega looked at a photo on her desk. Her old friend Alan Mercer stood smiling beside her at a conference years ago. They had worked together on FIRST contact protocols, both hopeful about humanity's future among the stars. "I'm sorry, Alan," she whispered. "This isn't the peaceful contact you dreamed of, but we'll make sure your death wasn't in vain." In the Proxima Centauri system, humanity's first battle beyond their home system was underway. Captain Hayes led a fleet of 30 ships against the Council's primary military base in the sector. "All ships attack pattern Delta," Hayes ordered. "Target their weapon platforms first, then communications." The Retribution led the charge, its advanced shields absorbing enemy fire while returning devastating salvos. Behind the main fleet, Prometheus drones swarmed toward the Council base, breaching its defenses through electronic warfare before the physical assault even began. Lieutenant Victor Martinez commanded the Phantom Special Forces team on this mission. As the battle raged above, his stealth shuttle slipped through the chaos toward the base. "Team, our objective is simple," he told his squad. "We get in, secure their central database, and get out. That database contains records of all Council operations for the past century, including their plans for other dangerous species they intend to eliminate." His team nodded grimly. Most had lost friends or family in the Council's initial strikes against Earth's orbital stations. As Martinez's shuttle approached the base, he saw something unexpected: explosions from inside the facility, not caused by the battle outside. "Sir," his sensor operator reported, "I'm detecting non-Council life signs fighting inside the base. It looks like some kind of rebellion." Martinez smiled tightly. "Seems we're not the only ones who have issues with the Council. Let's give our new friends some help." Back on Earth, President Franklin addressed a global audience. Despite the strain of leading during wartime, her voice remained strong. "1 week ago, we witnessed the murder of Alan Mercer, humanity's envoy of peace. The Galactic Council believed this act would frighten us into submission. Instead, it united us like nothing in human history." Images played behind her. Earthships victorious in battle. Council prisoners being treated humanely. Alien allies joining the fight. "We have discovered that the Council has been systematically destroying civilizations it deems threatening for thousands of years. Humanity refuses to be their next victim. More importantly, we have vowed that they will never again destroy another emerging species." She paused, her expression solemn. "This war was not of our choosing, but we will end it. And when it is over, a new galactic community will rise. One based on mutual respect and self-determination, not fear and control." Across the stars, the message spread. Council worlds that had lived under the shadow of their leader's power for millennia began to question. And as Earth's unexpected victories mounted, those questions grew louder. The Council had executed one human diplomat, expecting surrender. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant that would reshape the galaxy forever. 3 months after Alan Mercer's execution, the war reached the heart of Council space. Admiral Donovan's fleet, now joined by ships from 7 former Council species, approached the massive space station where it had all begun. Where Earth's Envoy had been murdered. "All ships in position," Captain Hayes reported from the Retribution. "The Council's main defense fleet has been neutralized." Admiral Donovan nodded grimly. Her uniform was crisp, but fatigue lined her face after months of constant battle. "Begin the final approach," she ordered. "Remember, we want Supreme Counselor Dravmek alive. This ends with justice, not vengeance." The Council station hung in space, once a symbol of unchallenged power, now surrounded by Earth vessels and ships of the newly formed Alliance of Free Worlds. Its outer defenses had been destroyed by Prometheus drones hours earlier. Lieutenant Martinez led his Special Forces team through the station's corridors. Unlike their earlier missions, they met little resistance. Many council guards had surrendered or fled. "Central chamber ahead," Martinez whispered into his comm. "Life signs indicate Supreme Counselor Drav Mech is inside with remaining council leaders." "Proceed with caution," Admiral Donovan's voice replied. "We need him alive to broadcast the surrender." Martinez signaled his team forward. The massive doors to the council chamber, the same doors Alan Mercer had passed through months ago, were sealed. "Breaching charges set," his explosives expert reported. When the doors blew open, Martinez was surprised by what he found. Supreme Counselor Drav Mech, a massive being with gray skin and multiple eyes, sat alone on his raised platform. The other council seats were empty. "They fled," Drav Mech said, his translator device making his voice sound oddly calm. "They knew what was coming." Martinez kept his weapon trained on the alien leader. "Supreme Counselor Drav Mech, by authority of Earth and the Alliance of Free Worlds, you are ordered to surrender." Drav Mech made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You humans surprised us. In 10,000 years, no species has ever resisted the Council successfully." "We're not just any species," Martinez replied. "You killed our envoy. You threatened our world. You never understood what that would unleash." An hour later, Supreme Counselor Drav Mech stood before cameras broadcasting to every world in Council space. With Admiral Donovan beside him, he formally surrendered and acknowledged the Council's crimes against emerging civilizations. On Earth, President Franklin watched the broadcast with Olivia Mercer by her side. Tears streamed down Olivia's face as justice for her husband was finally achieved. "It's over," the president said softly. "No," Olivia replied. "It's just beginning." 1 year later, a new galactic alliance was formed. Unlike the Council's forced membership and hierarchy, this alliance was built on principles of mutual respect and self-determination. Each species had equal representation, and no single power could dominate. At the center of the new alliance headquarters stood a memorial, a simple hologram of Alan Mercer, Earth's first envoy to the stars. The inscription read, "His death united humanity. His memory unites the galaxy." Olivia Mercer, now Earth's ambassador to the Alliance, often visited the memorial when difficult negotiations tested her patience. Today, her daughter Emma stood beside her, now a young woman studying xenobiology. "Dad would be proud," Emma said. "Not of the war, but of what came after." Olivia nodded. "He always believed different species could learn from each other, grow together." He was right, just not in the way he expected. Emma looked up at the stars visible through the station's transparent dome. "They thought executing one human would frighten us into submission. Instead," Olivia said, "it woke something they never anticipated, humanity's true strength. Not our weapons or technology, but our unity and determination when threatened." Among the stars, hundreds of worlds formerly under Council control now charted their own destinies, and emerging species developed without fear of containment. The galaxy had changed forever because the Council had made one fatal mistake. They had killed a human envoy, not understanding that humans never leave their own behind.